Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Combat Minds podcast. Today we'll be having our guest, Master Tula, come on. Also, my sister. Come on through, come on through.
Thank you.
So, just before we start the main topics and stuff like that, I just want to say, what is this um, podcast about? So, this podcast is all about martial arts and mental health awareness. So, everyone's journey through martial arts, also the kind of struggles that they deal with mental health wise, and then also how they overcome that. So, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit.
My brain.
Yes. But other than that, we're going to be having many guests, and I'm glad to say that Tula will be my first guest. Um, yeah, I guess I know this person well. But other than that, I'll talk about today's topics. So we'll go a little bit about our story, my story and Tula's story, because they intertwine, obviously. Um, and then we'll talk about New Year's resolutions, goal setting, behind the belt, which is a segment where we get four random facts about our lovely uh, guest. I
That's
nearly
me.
said host. Our
I
lovely
can be a
host.
host.
Maybe one day. And also we finish off with a motivational quote, which hopefully our guests will also give their own quote, whether that's motivational or not, or we'll find out. Okay, so take it away. How's your week been? How's Christmas?
It was great. Yeah, that's it. It was just great.
It was just
It was
great.
it was nice to have a break because the thing that a lot of people don't know is that me and Harry we train all the time and we teach so many classes and this has been the first week we've had no classes. We had back to back Christmas hat session, we had an awards for TTKD and then now it's like a break. So it's our first week off, but we're going to Greece in January.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're going to be on a break for too much longer.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it feels a bit alien when we do get away from the club because it's like we're almost indulged with it every single day, every time. So when we don't have it, it feels a bit weird that we have, it feels almost like, oh, I've got nothing to do right now.
But it's not like we haven't been talking about Taekwondo the entire time. It's not like it's never existed. If anything, we did leafleting yesterday. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah. We did go leafleting. Uh, Fight each other.
Right.
Go fight. I need a
Wait,
KO.
hold on. Let me.
I need a KO. Oh, KO victory. And within the first hour, we got applicants straight away going, "Oh, yeah,
yeah,
get
I
my
want a
child in for that."
free taster session.
So, and also, if you do want to check out the Taekwondo Club, follow along to www.ttkd.org.uk. You can check out any of the classes on there. We do have the university classes as well, but of course, you do have to be a university student to join those. Um, okay, yeah. So we are going to talk about some of the New Year's resolutions, but before that, tell me too, like, how did you get into Taekwondo? I know the story, but it's for the audience, obviously.
So basically, when we moved here to Greece, there was a lot of issues with bullying, especially on my side of things, because the kids were a lot older and that.
Just to correct you, um, moved here to England, moved from Greece to
From
England.
Greece to England, thank you. Moved from Greece to England, and there was a lot of bullying because obviously, when you have someone different, someone with a different accent from a completely different culture, I could speak English fine. I just had a bit of a accent because I've been learning living in Greece.
Mm.
So when I came here, there was a lot of bullying issues, and I actually had one incident where I got strangled in the playground. This was in primary school, so they were about what, nine
Yeah.
years old. So not very normal behavior from children and that. And what happened was Dad kind of said he had enough of it. So he spoke to Master Graham, who was a very close family friend of ours, who also taught in Taekwondo and trained in Taekwondo. He was a fifth Dan, Cookie One. And he was like, right, I've got a recommendation, and gave us Carly, who's now sadly passed away. And we joined his club, and that's where it first kind of started. I was training there, and not long after that, Harry decided to pluck up the courage and join me.
Well, I say pluck up the courage. I was roped into it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's been the best thing I've been kind of like introduced to. I wasn't forced into it, but I was definitely pushed into it to go like, try it. You might like it, or try it. It's going to be good for you.
Well,
And
you were more nervous to join in at the time when you were little because you were just worried about how long the classes were. You're like, that's too long. That's too much
why
time.
was I worried about how long they were?
You were worried you were going to get
I was
hungry.
worried I was going to get hungry. Um, I've definitely changed some ways that I don't get hungry during the sessions. There's times where we don't, uh, like example, definitely a Saturday morning when we're in a bit of a rush, um, end up not having breakfast, and then I feel hungry during like the second session. But no, that's definitely changed. But in terms of your story, what's the biggest impact Taekwondo has had um, within your life story? Whether that's maybe it's affected you socially, whether it's I don't know, maybe there was a big turning point where that's an important memory, that's a core memory for me, stuff like that.
I think it was just especially like training in Taekwondo, as much as it was fun in that, but I really enjoyed in the actual teaching side of it. So, especially when we were in our last club, I helped with a lot of the assistant stuff. So I was like doing warm ups, I was helping out during classes. Um, and it's that whole leadership side. I found it a lot easier to lead groups and that. So, especially when I went to uni and we did group projects, I tend to take more of a leadership role just because it was easier for me. So, that's, I think, the big turning point is when I realized that actually a lot of the bits I enjoy of teaching and that it actually helped me in regards to leading teams and being able to actually run a successful team, if anything. So I think that was the big turning point for me is when I realized my teaching helped me with my leadership skills.
So would you say you've more enjoyed this end so towards like your say third dan onwards because we were third dan when we did start the club. So would you say that journey from third dan onwards was more enjoyable than the rest of the years that you did?
No, I would say it's probably been the most useful part of it. I've probably enjoyed both sections equally because I really enjoyed the learning side of it and the competing side of it. Now I don't compete as much.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you say that, but you compete in Pumse consistently.
yeah.
Sparring, you're getting back into it.
Yeah. But to be
That's
fair, the only reason why I got back into it was you because I could see how much you were enjoying it and how much you were so determined, and it kind of let a bit of a fire under me to kind of go for it.
well, it's funny that you say that because that's what encouraged me to carry on with it. So my first taekwondo match, well, I guess I'm going to say it now. My first taekwondo match, I got absolutely battered, three headshots. So this was, how old was I? Like
You would have been, I was 13, so you would have been about 10.
10. So um, a little red tag, still learning proper sparring
I think you
rules
were
and
blue
stuff like that.
belt when you first did it.
No, yeah, blue belt.
Blue belt.
I got three headshots and the referee stopped it. It wasn't like I was concussed or anything like that, but it's a child. They're getting overwhelmed and they're getting hit a lot.
I got smacked in the face a few times.
It's definitely safe to stop it there. So thank you to that referee. But that year you got gold medal for your first.
No, that year I got
You
bronze.
got bronze, but the second year,
Third year. Third year I got gold.
third year.
Yeah.
Then what did you get the second year?
Second
Silver.
year I got silver because it was
Okay.
a finals match. It was my first, I think it was my first juniors match. And I was against a girl who was a little bit older than me that did the splits in front of me.
Oh yeah.
And that was just going,
Classic
yeah.
tactics to psych out your opponent.
I didn't know because I ran up with a jumping axe kick.
Yeah, I'm glad you don't do that anymore.
No,
Well,
I can't physically move like that anymore.
well, it's probably for the better because the way that the sparring has evolved,
Yeah.
it's a bit harder to do something like that.
We were that process in between of old style going into new style, I think, when
Yeah,
we first started. So it
yeah.
was like them kind of getting used to the new rules, making sure that body shots were 2 points, head shots were 3 points, all that kind of stuff.
And it's even like with the sparring half, it's been a lot us having to self teach it and like watch a lot of videos, go to seminars because we were part of a club that didn't focus as much that aspect. It was more technical stuff, which was good, and the Pumze half, but I really enjoyed sparring. And yeah, I think that's one good thing about TTKD as a club. We do everything,
I've got to say
everything as
though,
a
one
whole.
thing it taught me though is how to put on my armor quickly and how to set up mats really quickly. Because if we did not do it quickly,
No.
then that would be it. It would be like, well, you're wasting your own time. So
Well,
everyone would get stuck in to quickly set it up and get quickly ready. So anytime we get to spar, it was like
yeah, exactly. And
panic mode.
when we did go when we were with the opposite club before, um, very small amount of mats and
We
with
had about 25.
I think it was even less than that,
You
to be
think so?
honest. Yeah. But either way, it wasn't many mats, and compared to like the opportunities we give our students, I hope that um
They
we can
appreciate
say,
it.
well, yeah, they appreciate it, and I hope we can say that we have tried very hard. I mean, you've been able to get someone towards a national level,
Yeah.
going towards the national team, so that's
Well,
good.
has more or less joined the national team now.
Yeah.
So yeah, very exciting stuff. It's for Pumze, so we need one for sparring now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Anyway, going on to New Year's resolutions. So, what are your New Year's resolutions?
Oh my God, get fitter.
Get fitter.
Yeah, I think one thing is I want to improve my sparring and my Pumze, but the only way I can do that is by putting more time aside because I very much neglect putting time aside because I've got a full-time job. We run the club full-time and anything in between is always club, 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 club.
Yeah.
And I sometimes forget to train myself, but to be honest, I am guilty of also saying to Harry when he's like, "Oh, let's train together," and I'd be like, "Oh, I've got this to do, I've got that to do." So I need to put an effort at least once a week to do some training for myself, whether it's Pumze or sparring, just to improve my fitness. One thing that everyone knows about me, who knows me, is I hate running.
Oh, yeah.
I hate running. I would much rather cycle. I'd much rather swim. I'd much rather do anything else but run. But I think yesterday doing all that walking, I think helped. I can feel the weight running past me now.
Yeah. That's the one walk that we do is just gonna take everything away.
Maybe we need to do leafleting more often. And
We
yeah,
will be, especially for the New Year's. Any other New Year's resolutions?
that's the main bit, the main one. And one other one is flexibility.
Yeah.
Is to improve my flexibility because I used to be able to do like my side kicks and that for Pumze. I used to be able to do them really high in there, and now I've kind of everything's just really tightened up because I've not really taken time for myself. So I think trying to improve my flexibility, but it's not just improving the flexibility; it's actually making the effort to do it because I don't make the effort all the time to do it, and I would love by the end of 2025 to be able to do a side kick like the Koreans do. That is my aim.
Yeah.
I won't get there, but at least I can get as close to it as possible where the flexibility is like at peak because it will help my sparring at the end of the day as well. So it will help both sides of things.
Yeah.
But that's my main goals is just to get better in general and put some time to myself.
Is there any other personal goals, well, any resolutions that are not to do with like physical health and stuff like that, or like some personal stuff? Oh, I want to go do this. I want to do that this year.
I want to get into a management position.
Yeah.
Work related, I want to be into a management or a team leader position. I think I prefer better.
Yeah.
Team leader position because it's not just looking after people, it's actually leading people, which is the bit I like.
Yeah.
I like to lead people. That's
Like
why
to lead them into battle.
well, exactly. And just kind of get a few more people as well, like into the Pumzo squad and help obviously you to get a few more people into the like the sparring squad and keep assisting with competitions, but trying to I want to do at least one international competition next year that's not Ireland.
As
Something
in
different.
for what? Pumze?
Any. Just want to get one in. I mean, if we go to Korea next year, this is if we go, I would like to try the Hamadan competitions. Hamadan?
Yeah, Hamadan.
Hamadan. Try one of those.
But you're gonna do like everything,
I'm going to try and do everything if
so
I
even the
can,
breaking as
even the
well.
breaking,
I don't know what kind of this is new to me in terms of for the Hamadan you do all sorts. You do sparring, pumze,
breaking.
breaking. Uh, I mean you can do freestyle pumze as well, but we can't do those extravagant flips and stuff like that.
But I think we should this year learn how to do at least a backflip.
That can be a
We
resolution.
can do that
Well,
together.
I'll try. We'll see how my knee gets on, but yeah, I would love to learn how to do a back handspring, something like that.
Back
Um,
handsprings aren't too bad. It's actually not
oh, can you
touching the
show me how
ground.
to do it then?
Of course, this is how you do it.
Um,
I just need a bit more room, you know.
so funnily enough, with the resolutions that you said, um, there has been a study, well, there's been multiple studies on New Year's resolutions, and 79% of New Year's goals involve improving health.
Yep.
So, um, but you'll be surprised with the next uh, statistic. I'm very bad at saying that word. 62% of those making resolutions feel pressured to do so. So, where they feel pressured to do so in making it, do you think that's a helping hand or a takeaway? Because if you were felt pressured to, oh, this year I need to do this,
Oh,
would that help you or
no.
no?
I don't like to feel pressured to do. I don't want to feel like I'm forced to do something. I would much rather be the person that kind of goes, right, I need to do this for me. Whilst if you always have someone kind of going, have you done this yet? Have you done that? Oh, have you done your run today? Have you done that? It won't work.
Yeah.
It won't work if someone's always on top of you, just kind of going, meh, meh, meh. It needs to be something that you know and set for yourself. You can have someone who helps you by pushing you, but not someone that forces you to do it. And that's I think where the difference kind of gets a bit blurry and that. But you know how I've talked about my New Year's resolution. What are your New Year's resolutions?
Uh, it would be I want to, and this will hopefully back up my point as well that I'm going to make after this. I want to get points on my um world athletes card. So when I'm doing these international competitions, I want to get some.
Global athletes
Yeah, my
card, the
global.
the
Sorry.
GB,
Uh,
the GBA,
yeah.
GBA?
No.
No, GAC,
Uh,
Global Athlete Card, GAC,
yeah. I think it's like that.
GAL, GAL.
Well, yeah. But either way, I want to try to get some points on international competitions. But what I mean by that is I want to at least, to every competition I go to, is at least win the first match.
Win
Because
one.
um, with the international competitions that I've been to so far, I've been stopped in the first match. It's been a competitive match, but my goal is to win a match internationally. That's the main one. I mean, Ireland, I got gold, but
But in like those G1s and
G1s,
that,
G2s and stuff
those
like
kind of
that. Yeah,
competitions.
that's definitely one of my resolutions. Um, Second resolution would be having my knee to full health, like fully recovered. Um, it could definitely happen. I just need to make sure that I'm doing my knee exercises twice a week, and making sure that I strap it when I do any, well, competitions definitely, but any like movement exercises like judo, taekwondo, just have it there as support, and then hopefully little by little I won't have to have that support. Um, so that's second one. Third one would be to hmm, I would like to, well, definitely graduate. That's end of this year, hopefully. Well, I say that it's probably my module's gonna end within this or next year, uh, within March,
April.
April.
Your module will finish in April and you'll get your marks back in May, June time.
Yeah. So just need to get that and then apply for my master's. But yeah. Um, yeah, that's it really. That's it. Uh, but funnily enough, you said that. The reason why I gave my answers how I did was because one thing, the way that you structured your New Year's resolutions is they're quite vague.
Yeah.
So when I said that I want to win a match to every competition, like every international competition I go to, that's a goal set by a numeral, uh, like a numeral setting. So I have to win a match, whereas you say I want to get more flexible.
Well, I have my goal, don't I? I have my starting point, which is like at knee level, and
Yeah,
then my goal to be up here.
up there. It's
My aim, though, my aim is to at least get head height
yeah.
again. That's like my main
So
aim.
where you say it like that, that's more measurable because when people say, "Oh, I want to get fitter in the next year," that's not measurable. So if you say, "Oh, like I am right now, I'm 83 kg. I want to be comfortably 80 kg by next year," that's more uh, like you can see the
That's
progress.
specific.
Yeah, exactly. So the more specific you are, the more likely you are to, achieve your resolution. So I am going to mention a study that was from 1988. It had 200 individuals who made New Year's resolutions. 77% were able to stay committed for the first week.
Yep.
How much percentage do you think of those original 200 kept their resolutions for 2 years after?
I would say probably about maybe, I think I'm being generous. I think 10%, I would say, because you find a lot of them drop off. Once January's over, it's like back into old naughty habits and that.
Well, from the original 200, actually, a little bit better than you said, 19%. So
Still not great though.
it's not great, but um, I think it's definitely those vague answers. It's hard to then say, well, yeah, I've met that consistently because if I say, oh, I want to be fitter, well, I'm technically fitter. If I'm doing my exercise every day and I wasn't before, technically I'm fitter, but you don't have that end goal of, oh, I want to be this fit. Because then once you achieve that in the New Year's resolution, you can push it further. But in a more recent survey in 2018, it showed that only 4% of the approximate 1,200 people who made a New Year's resolution had stayed committed and kept their resolutions until the end of the year. So
4%.
4% of that one. So as you can see, there's a massive drop off. And most of the time it's because people go for like big, extravagant resolutions, which is not a bad thing. But I think one thing that we can definitely talk about is goal setting. And I think that's definitely a main factor that can assist you achieving those goals. So goal setting, what do you think about goal setting?
What, and based on my resolutions
Well,
or
on your resolutions, so say example, okay, I want to get fitter. How can you use goal setting to achieve that end goal of I've done it this year. At the end of the year, I've done what I wanted to.
I think it would be consistently. The problem is that I'm someone who, especially when it comes to sparring, I don't really stop. It doesn't matter how much I'm suffering. I just keep going, but I think it's to finish a match without feeling like death. I think that would be like by the end of the year, at least do one match that I just feel like I survived that, but not like one that it's like either it was so easy that it was finished in like the first two rounds by point gap, but as in one that I worked hard for. That may have been a struggle or it may have been a really tough match.
Yeah.
So one of them actually from this year was when we went to Wales.
Yeah.
Because the girl I was fighting, she's in her weight category. I am not in my weight category. I'm a little bit heavier than I should be. So for me, going up against her, she was about what, head taller?
Yeah.
Something like that. And she had more experience. She was quite young, probably has just come into maybe the senior category, has been there for a year or so. But obviously was more experience currently with sparring than I am right now. More frequent training, etc. And I remember feeling during that, like I felt I held my own during that. I didn't win. I only got through two rounds, but it was the fact I held my own. So it's just doing that consistently and not getting overwhelmed
Yeah.
by what's happening.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing for me anyway. And the flexibility thing, it's just being consistent, making sure that you are doing your stretches once a week minimum, like major stretching, but you should be stretching every day really.
Yeah.
But I know realistically I'm not going to hold that up.
Mm.
So I've got to give myself a realistic goal of once a week, like spend half an hour
Yeah.
just focusing on stretching and that. Yeah. I think it's important to goal set though, because if you
Yeah.
don't have a goal, you don't have an end game.
Yeah, and it's like what I said to one of our students from the university that was starting to putter out, wasn't coming for ages. I said to them, as like to set a goal, start coming just once a week. Or
Oh,
I
yeah.
was saying, so first I said once every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
just to, be able to at least say, oh, I'm going again. And then you can do it once a week. And then eventually you might be able to say, you know what, I'm going to do it twice a week.
Yeah.
But those like goal settings is example knowing the result. So understanding your result, what are you trying to seek from that result? So if you achieve it, what are you seeking? What is the cause of it? Why are you doing it? So other than that as well, I will say for results, establishing a time frame. So like we said, having a whole year is good, but then you can start having deadlines where
Little micro goals.
exactly. So it's like you have how many months are in a year? She knows. Okay, 12 months. So example, you might have a small goal within the first month. You want to say that, you know what, I was able once a week to do my session, do my stretching. And then on the second month, you want to say you've been able to do it for instead of 15 minutes like you did for the first week, for the first month, now I'm doing it 30 minutes and stuff like that. And you can gradually increase those goals, whether that's time, intensity, or even frequency. So the amount of times you do it.
But that's what some people do when they go to the gym and that they increase their set, they might increase their reps.
Yeah.
But do it once they like, yeah, this is a piece of cake, like I need to go up. Or it's
Yeah.
like I've hit it, I need to go up now.
Yeah. So sets, reps, weight, stuff like that. Yeah. I think as well, make sure that you're connected to your goal. Really make sure that this is something that is not just a phase. Like, example, if I was really into this game that I was playing and I was like, I want to be this level on this game, and then after 2 weeks I've got bored of the game, you're not really emotionally attached to it. Whereas compared to Taekwondo, we do it every day. We have that, oh, we're connected to that.
And it's not just a joke, we do it every day. It's like
Yeah.
we actually do it every day.
Also, it mentions reflection. Ask difficult questions. Do you still feel that your goal is worth pursuing? So with that, it's kind of like 50-50 with your goal. I think one thing that's good to say is that when you are reflecting like, oh, is this worth doing? I think it's more saying that, is it worth doing? How far extended I've put this goal, or maybe I dull it back a bit. So like if I've said, oh, in every competition I want to win one match in the G1s and G2s, maybe I have to dull it back and say, oh, every two competitions I go to, I want to win once. So then it's like, so then it's not too overwhelming. Responsibilities. Have a game plan. Ask yourself what you need to, why you need to reach your goal and what you need to do to reach your goal. Chart your course. So like we said, plan it. Plan your course. So where we're saying about like the months, oh, this month we do this many, that will definitely help. But other than that, that's our goal setting and our New Year's resolutions. I just realized I didn't really tell my story.
No, you didn't. I kind of told mine, and then
It's
we said
okay.
how you
I
joined,
kept
and that
them
was
on a
it.
hook.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly say that from where you left off, that I was coming along after you joined. After that, really, I just kept with it. Started to putter out towards, what was it, maybe green belt, or just after that.
Belt, blue tag.
Blue tag.
Going for your blue belt.
Going for blue belt. Started puttering out a little bit, questioning whether I want to do it or not. My dad, our dad, continued to like support and also like push me towards it, which then I'm glad I did, because I was able to pick up the momentum and haven't stopped since. And I think the major turning point was when I received my second Dan. That's when everything kind of cogs started moving. That's when everything started feeling right.
Everything was going into place like a little puzzle piece.
Yeah.
You found that last bit of the puzzle and you're like, oh, I know what this picture is now.
And then it's only been the past couple years that I've been able to do the international competitions, because I was loving fighting and competing, but I want to reach that end goal of mine to reach the Olympics, whether that's in Taekwondo, or you never know, it might spin off to Judo, which is also another sport I do. So I do Taekwondo. Well, we both do Taekwondo and we both do Judo.
Yeah.
But Tula's had a break from it. But
not because I want to, it's
No.
because I physically cannot get
yeah.
there.
But I'm a brown belt, which is a first kyu in Judo. So funnily enough, I'll be having my first competition in the Dan category next year. So maybe one of my goals are to at least score an ippon.
Get your first 10 points.
Yeah, get my first 10 points towards my first Dan. Yeah, and other than that, that's the main part of my story. I'm sure that during this whole podcast, you'll hear bits and pieces of my story that come up randomly. But yeah. So moving on to our segment, this is the fun part of the podcast where we get to ask your fun facts. So this segment is called Behind the Belt.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you like the name?
I do like the name.
It's supposed to be about 4 fun facts behind the belt, so it can be anything, whether that's related to your martial art, whether that's just random. I've seen some of the guests' suggestions on their facts, and some are completely random, slightly questionable.
A bit bonkers.
Yeah. But
I'm not one of them though.
But one of them, one of the fun facts that you have mentioned was that you were the first person to start up a taekwondo club at the University of Hertfordshire.
And society.
So
from what I can see, the University of Hertfordshire has never had a taekwondo related club there. They had judo, they had karate, they have kickboxing, they have all those kind of sports. But the one thing they didn't have was taekwondo, and I was looking at universities to go to, and that Hertfordshire was close to home. It was better for me. And as soon as I saw there was no taekwondo club or anything like that, I was like, I need to do something about this. So I spoke to the SU. I got 2 of my friends, one of them that I met like a week into uni and went, yeah, I'm roping you into this. And one of them that I've known for a very, very long time. I basically became chairman. They became secretary and treasurer, but I ended up doing all the work for it and started in January of 2019 with the society. Did that all throughout while studying at university. Did it all for free as well.
yeah,
Did it all for free.
That's one thing about the societies; they're all done for free.
Yeah, all you do is you pay for your membership, which I even had to pay for my membership.
Which was how much anyway? It was like,
we put it to 16 or 18 pounds at
Yeah.
the time, which is dirt cheap for a club.
yeah, ridiculous.
But
that paid for the whole year as well.
That was for the whole year. And I wasn't getting paid for it. I just kind of taught because I enjoyed it. And I remember one year we did a taster session. This was like year 2 of running it. And we had about 40 to 60 people in one little hall.
Yeah.
And I had to cut the group into bits so then they can do their training bit and then go, okay, next group, you can go.
Yeah.
So then people didn't die, which
Right.
That's the only way I can say it, because obviously it's a very physical sport and a very combative sport. So if you're teaching people how to kick, you don't want them kicking the buddy in front of them.
Yeah.
Or punching someone in the face.
Yeah.
So it had to be very controlled at the time. And actually, we gained from those kind of taste sessions some people who are now reached their black belts and who are still with us, which I'm very, very grateful for. But once we'd done that for a few years, I was graduating from my master's, and I was like, if I leave, then no one's running the society. And it wasn't manageable enough, and people wanted to compete in that and have their competitions covered for and to be able to do more. So then we kind of went, right, we need to make a club now.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
when
think,
came in.
yeah, you were,
Well,
when
I
this
there
was
the whole time,
happening,
but yeah.
when this was happening, you came in your first year.
First year, yeah.
We
It
were
was
still a
after the first
society,
year,
and as
yeah.
soon as we were making it into a club, it was yourself and a few other of our members who joined a committee, ran it. So now we're actually running a club. I don't really get paid for half the stuff I do. I say half the stuff, I mean half the classes I teach.
Yeah.
Competitions out the window. I don't get paid for any competitions. I try to at least get my petrol paid for, and that's about it. But again, it's all the love of the sport, and that's the whole point. So right now we've got quite a few members. We've got about 18 members in this club.
Yeah.
But we have, most of them are competing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
We've got about 15 of them that are competing.
We had roughly like, I think we had 23 last year, but we would only have like 8 of them competing.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have, even though we have a little bit less numbers this year, because people going back home from since they were doing study abroad and stuff like that. It's nice to have a group that a lot of us are competing, because it means that everyone that's at training, par like 1 or 2 people, everyone that's at training, you've seen at the competition as well. We have that connection, and it's a nice environment.
And they've made little buddy systems, which is nice, because people who you wouldn't normally meet outside of it, because you might be on different courses, you might be living on campus and they are living at home, and that, where you've got actually that connection. And we do some socials and that, well, we try to anyway.
Yeah.
I don't have time to organise that.
Yeah.
So I rely on the committee a lot.
Yeah. I need to try to get some more events.
We need to do
going
something
on.
in the new year, though.
Yeah, we'll do something in the new year. I mean, we got the Lunar New Year like event coming up.
Which we've been invited to. Finally, I've been trying to get invited to the Lunar New Year event since leaving societies.
Society, yeah.
So once we left the society, we didn't really hear much of it. I don't think they did one for the first year, and then they did one in the second year. But I've kind of been pushing for the Lunar New Year, and finally they've invited us, which is like how we started, really.
Yeah.
That was our first event. We started that would have been in January. We did like a few classes.
Yeah.
And then we did our first event.
Yeah.
Literally after those few classes, just because someone knew someone.
Yeah.
Which
But
was
that was the kickboxing lot
yeah,
as well.
It was kickboxing that wrangled us into it originally.
That was the nice thing, is that our first like event sort of thing, we ended up pairing up with kickboxing, and it was fun. And that's how, as I tried to say to everyone, that's how martial arts should be. Not, oh, my sport's better than your sport.
No, my sport's better than your sport.
Instead, you respect each other's sports and say, you know what, they're both good.
They'll have both their benefits and their disadvantages. Like, for instance, Taekwondo is very good in regards to speed and that, and in regards to being able to combat at further distance.
Yeah.
But if you put a Taekwondo person against a boxing person, let's say, as soon as they come close, that's it. The Taekwondo person would struggle a lot more, probably.
Yeah, exactly. It's more so that it's not that the Taekwondo fighter would be like, oh, they're going to get destroyed. They'll struggle a lot more, because like anyone that does a combat sport, they know how to fight.
Just a different style. And
exactly.
That's the thing that people have got to understand a lot more. It's not that one sport's better than the other. It's the fact that you're going to have your advantages. Like, for instance, judo and taekwondo actually go really well together, because
hand in hand.
Because taekwondo is mainly the kicking, the punching, all the further distance stuff.
Yeah.
Whilst judo, you're getting nice and close. You are actually throwing people. You've got people to the ground, which actually helps a lot with our self-defense aspects. And that's the whole reason why we started taekwondo. At the end of the day, it's not for competitions. That's one of the benefits that came out of it. But the main goal is for people to know how to defend themselves.
Yeah.
So adding taekwondo and judo together in harmony has actually worked really nicely. So we saw that from the awards.
Yeah.
Where I accidentally put judo. I didn't mean to, but I threw you during self-defense. You went for a hook punch. I blocked it. And then suddenly I went into a little bit of muscle memory from the little bit of judo that I seem to still have, doing my favorite throw, which is Ippon Sayanagi.
Yeah, you did more of a marotte because you put your elbow up.
Yeah.
So I know.
Yeah. And just threw him over my shoulder in that, because one of the things is as well, you are able to fight any opponent you have in front of you. It doesn't matter what their weight is, what their height is. You just use different tactics. It doesn't it's all about the technique rather than they're heavier than me, so I can't fight them.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It's all about the motion of the person and stuff like that.
Went a bit off topic there.
Yeah. Next fact. I don't have the rest of your facts, unfortunately, because what I do for this podcast, I asked my guests, oh, give me 4 facts, so then I can ask you like I did for the first one. However, she said she's boring and doesn't have any facts, so she has to now come up with some facts.
Yes. And one of them I spoke to you earlier about, which was that I've fought both in sparring nationals and Pumse nationals, and that. So I had my first ever national sparring match in like 2017. October or September of 2017.
Yeah.
I was still classified as a junior there. So I was like I was at the end of the era, and I fought against Jordan, who used to be part of the GB, who used to be part of the GB team and competed internationally. And she started off as a junior as well in regards to like sparring and that. And she made her way. She was part of the junior development team of GB and that. And she ended up actually doing really well. She's now kind of stopped, and she now runs her own. Like, she helps run her club and that.
Actually is part of the GB squad.
Yeah,
her younger sister.
I can't remember her first name.
No, I can't remember either. No. But she's really good. Yeah. I've seen her compete.
It's the same face.
Similar, yeah.
It's the same face, but I don't really remember her face very much because I got hit in the eye in that first match.
She kind of stopped you from seeing her face.
Yeah, so I didn't know what she looked like, so I could only rely on what they said. And then this year was the first time I competed in Pumse Nationals, which was tough. I was not ready. So I know next time I know what I need to do to be more ready. But to be honest, the category I had, it was the biggest category.
How many was it in total? It was like 32, wasn't it?
24.
24.
Which is, which for,
but still, it's a lot.
For national competitions, it's a lot of people. So my category was the biggest category from that whole event and that. But if you go to international competitions, the under 30s women's category, and this is going by some of our good friends at Blue Wave, some of the categories can be up to 60 or 70.
Yeah.
Within that one category.
It's because that's the average. That's like
most people are.
It's like for when doing sparring, minus 80 and minus 74. That's the averages of like an average male weigh. So that's going to be the biggest categories.
But what you find as well is that before, what you would have is there would be a lot of juniors within that category, and then they would kind of drop off. So the under 30 category was always a little bit bare, but you now tend to find that those juniors are moving up into seniors and they're still going. Whilst before, a lot of them would just kind of drop off. It would be like, yeah, I've hit my peak, off I go.
Yeah.
But now there's a lot more juniors that are actually still making it through to the under 30 category. Now I'm halfway through my under 30 category now. I'm heading to, I'm looking at my aim to under 40, but that category I can see doing the exact same thing as the juniors have done to the under 30s. Is that all the under 30s, when they get to under 40s, they're going to kind of, the majority of them will still stay.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether it will be as big of an impact as the under 30s category had with the juniors, because there's just so many. There's too many of them.
Yeah.
But I would never want them to stop. But maybe make my category a bit easier.
Since it is hard for you to come up with 4 facts, I'll let you go. I'll give you one off, and you can
Thank
do one more fact then.
Thank you very much. The problem is all my facts are Taekwondo related because
Try to
that's.
go for something different then. What?
Oh, fun fact. When I started judo,
Mm,
um,
another martial art.
yes,
It's
another
all about
martial,
martial
it
art.
has to be. I got up to orange belt, and I had a very good teacher. So Professor Michael Cullen, who actually has actually been doing quite a lot for the judo community, especially as of recently. He's been
Yeah.
working a lot with development clubs, the development side of Azerbaijan, which you can see
Yeah. He
what he's been
works,
doing.
they have a partnership with
Mm,
Hertfordshire University, and he's also doing, I want to get this right, judo safe falling. It's
yes.
for the older population uh, trying to be safe when they fall, and it's a really good incentive. It's really
Mm.
good.
Which I had actually the pleasure to be able to be a part of that for I think one or two of his sessions.
Oh,
And
did
that,
you?
yeah. So I did some shadowing of his work because he teaches a lot of PhD students as well
Yeah.
within judo. And even though I don't want to do necessarily a PhD in judo, I would like to do one in Taekwondo, but it's just really hard to find a topic that someone hasn't written
Yeah.
and it to be of value.
Yeah.
Because I could write about anything, but it could be absolute dog. And
It's like what I did for my what's it called? My
dissertation.
dissertation is I did about expenditure and energy for Taekwondo specific exercise, and then linked it to doing a sparring match because there's not really, well, I haven't seen any now. There might have been a change since the last time I've done it, but there was no real like definite like physical test for Taekwondo. Like a bleep test would be for um like a fitness test. And even judo from like Emerson Francini, he's someone who does a lot of these studies around martial arts. He's even done a like personal what's it called, profiling Taekwondo athletes, so their build and stuff like that. Um, he designed a fitness test for judo where you run to one end of the mat, you throw your partner, then you go to the other end, you throw the other partner, so it's just back and forth, throw. I can't remember much else than that of it, but I think it's like the bleep test where it's done till you stop. I don't know if the intensity changed or the timing that you had to get there changed like the bleep test does, but I was able to then use that to do it with
as a base,
Taekwondo.
as a baseline kind
Yeah,
of.
so it's like run to one side, do you two half turning kicks, run to the opposite, and the way that I increased the intensity was that not only did you have to keep up a pace, but then you had to do after, I think it was, I'll need to double check, but um, after you've done um, one round, so which was, I believe, yeah, one round was 2 minutes. After you've done one round of 2 minutes, this is all continuously, but it's done in stages. One round, 2 minutes. Each time you've done a kick, the two kicks, you have to score one of the two kicks. So overall, when you go back and forth, out those four kicks that you do, you have to score two overall. If you don't, that means that you're fatigued and you stop.
Yeah.
But it also then the amount of kicks that you do on each side increased. So it meant that I believe I think it was every stage it went up, two kicks were added. So after the 2 minutes, um, the next 2 minutes, it was four kicks on each side, which meant that overall you have to score 4 out of 8. So, but it was good. It was really good. And then we did the sparring afterwards. So then I was able to see um, how much energy it took to do the whole sparring half of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, because we had like heart monitors and stuff like
Yeah.
that
And we had portable VO2 max.
for the controlled.
Well, for the physical test we did, but then for the sparring test we couldn't have that on because it's very expensive equipment, and we do head kicks, so just had the
Heart monitors
heart
on there.
monitor on, and then you're able to, since we did the physical test, we were able to then gauge what would be someone's VO2 levels um, during that heart rate. Yeah.
It was an interesting study for you to do, though. It was interesting to see it like from an outsider's perspective because it's just like it was something very different from what you've done before
Yeah.
in regards to like doing tests and that because you do, especially when we were first starting our Karugi squad training and that.
It'd be very basic, the stuff I would do. It's like
Exactly.
it's like what I would do in college. Like it's more so where you judge it from uh the normative data of, so if I got everyone to do a bleep test, normative data of this, of what, but the thing is there wasn't any like normative data from a bleep test, at least I couldn't find any back then of, um, these athletes doing a bleep test, what's the normative data for a taekwondo athlete? Da, 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 da. It would be too hard to find because it's very niche.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, taekwondo
but yeah.
it's a very popular sport, but in regards to studies, it is very niche because it's really hard to be able to collect data for something like that because every match is different. Especially for the sparring side of thing, every match is different and the way that your mental state and the way that you kind of go for your matches is very different every time and it's
Yeah.
really hard to find a control factor
Yeah, exactly
for it.
that.
And
That's the
the
hard part.
problem.
That's the hard part because most of the things that are studied on are things that are more subjective. So it's like more subjective to opinion. Or it's like, example, one that was really good of qualitative data was, I remember Professor Mike Cullen talking about it, was someone on the day of a world championship or European championship, I can't remember, noted down the techniques that everyone used to score an ippon.
Yeah.
So all the throws, and I think it was, if I'm not wrong, I believe the number one technique was Taitoshi. I need to double check with Mike again, but I think that was it. And that kind of quality data is something maybe that could use in Taekwondo, where it's like, what's the most scored kick? But it's going to be like something like a half turning kick
But
or
I don't
a cut kick.
Yeah, I don't know whether half turning kick used to be the most scored kick, especially for the novice categories.
Yeah.
Half turning kick is the most common kick to score. But what you tend to find nowadays is that a lot of people are not really going for the half turning kick as much anymore. It's more that cut kick and more always going for the head kicks and that.
Yeah.
You find compared to what it was like when we were growing up, it was all body.
Yeah.
And the head kick would be rare and it would be like
Yeah.
like you wouldn't attempt them very often. Nowadays, what you tend to find is that there's a lot more people going for the headshots more often.
It's because it's so easy to just score on
Just
like
touch. But you have to be at the right distance and use the right technique. And you find there's a lot more attempts nowadays. So the rate of failure is a lot higher compared to before, where you would do it very rarely. So actually you would score a lot more with it than without. And you tend to find we've got to have to find out that information though to see whether actually someone's done a study
Yeah.
compared to the
Or we
kicks
could always do our own little study on seeing what kicks mostly score on different sensors. So like for Taekwondo, the main ones that I'm going to mention are Daidu and KPMP.
I think they're the only ones
No,
though.
there's definitely more. Like I
I
don't
think
know the
the only
names of
ones
them.
that are recognized by WT, I think though.
No, there's definitely I think there's one more, but the main thing is Daidu and KPMP are the ones that have been used for Olympics. So those are the ones that are most like verified. But it would be interesting to see. Um, it would be interesting to see what kicks score most on Daidu, what kicks score most on KPMP, or even like what kicks score most overall.
Because we both have preferences. I prefer the Daidu system, whilst you probably prefer a little bit more the
Yeah,
KPNP
it's 50
system.
50. There's cons for one and pros for the other. Like for me, KPMP feels nice to wear. Completely like the body armor's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
It's slick, it looks nice. I don't know about the new KPMP armor in terms of how aesthetically.
This
I'm
this
not
is the
the
one that
one
looks like
where it has
abs.
abs and stuff like that. I don't know if I 100%. I mean, at least if I'm minus 80 and I still don't have abs, at least the armor has abs,
Well,
so
that's
it
what I was going to
looks
say. If
nice.
you're wearing that and then you take it off, you at least need to have abs underneath and
Yeah,
be like,
underneath.
KPMP gave me abs.
Yeah,
Put that on a quote.
yeah,
But for me, the reason why I prefer Daidu is purely on the socks.
yeah. The
I
socks
find
are really nice
I
for
find the
Daidu.
socks are a lot more comfortable. I think KPMP socks, I don't like that it's got a little bit of a flap
I don't know. I
at
like it.
the end. I don't like my toes being free like that.
Yeah,
I like coverage on my toes.
I don't know. I think the best part of Daidu is its foot socks,
Mm.
and the best part of KPMP is a bit of 50-50 between its body armor and foot sock because I
Mm.
like both foot socks, but to be honest, I could even lean more to KPMP for the foot socks because not only are they comfortable, but they feel nice to strike in,
Mm.
like really nice. But other than that, uh, our last little bit, a quote.
Quote of the day of the week.
Well, yeah, of the
It's a week
week.
for you guys.
Yeah, it's a week. I'm not doing it every day. It's this podcast will be happening once a week,
Mm.
and every Tuesday you'll be getting that post. So, I can actually mention what next podcast will be about. It's going to be about pressure. So, um, obviously not just like pressure gauge, just some random like piece of pressure thing, but pressure of like competing and stuff like that. Pressure of just it can even be like pressure of training, pressure of uh, other scenarios, other factors.
We're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna be in Greece for the next podcast.
Well, I might film it before Greece,
Yeah,
but
I
if
I
not,
would because we may not be able to bring everything that you
yeah,
need for it.
exactly. So I'll
We
most
might get
likely,
stopped at customs.
yeah. Get started. Why'd you got so many cameras? But
It's not me,
yeah,
sir.
I'll most likely film that before we
Yeah,
go
I
anyway.
hope so. Because it's going to be tough to film it there. But I think if we were able to film it there, I think that'd be really cool
It would be
because
really cool.
you would be getting first-hand experience of pressure, especially because we're going to be a lot of our training is sparring based and that we don't know what we're doing. Whilst we were there, we just know that it's all sparring training, and then we've got a match day on our
Yeah, I'm
last
excited for
day.
that match day.
So that will be really interesting because a lot of the athletes that will be there, we've got, especially unfortunately in the women's side, they're going to be very elite because that's where Salonika tends to,
Thessaloniki, yeah,
yeah,
Thessalonica. It has a lot more stronger female fighters in that area.
which is unfortunate for me, but a very good experience to be involved and be honoured
Yeah.
to be able to fight people like that. But I know that I'm going to get my butt whooped, but I'm going to be thankful
But yeah,
for it.
talking about Greece, there has been a lot of Greek athletes this year that have done really well in
Yeah,
uh, competition,
juniors
especially
especially,
yeah,
juniors in Taekwondo. Then you've got judo as well, has done really well this year.
yeah,
Um, in the Olympics even and
yeah.
that. So
I believe we Greece got 2 medals within the Olympics for judo. Unfortunately, we didn't have any.
I don't think we had any athletes
No,
for
didn't have
Greece
any
this year.
Greek athletes this year.
Tokyo, we had, I think, 2
Yeah,
women athletes,
yeah,
female athletes. Um, yeah, but they did really well this year in regards to the martial arts side of things, and
yeah,
I look forward to see what 2028 holds.
yeah.
Really, want to see more of those Greek athletes in there. Bring on the women because we did well. We did well in Tokyo. We didn't do
Yeah,
too bad. We didn't medal, I don't think, but
no,
we still held our own. But the juniors have been doing really well
yeah.
this year.
Especially,
The
I forgot what
junior
category he
athletes.
is, but I believe his name's Sardis or something like that. But
Can't remember.
um, he was fantastic. He
Quite
he
tall lad, but in a
three
minus category.
Yeah, he's won 3 major competitions in a row. He
Mm,
won a world championship and
mm,
had the Korean boy first, which was
mm,
crazy. The boy that was supposed to like win it all.
mm,
And then he went to the Grand Prix,
mm,
got gold, and then there was a competition a couple weeks ago, got gold in that as well. So
mm.
it's just back to back wins, the hat trick.
But do you know what? GB have done really well in their Paralympics
Yeah,
this year.
fantastic.
They've done amazing with that. They've got
Yeah.
2 golds out of it. And not only that, Amy, who won gold in the Paralympics, when she won, her victory was great. And everyone's kind of posting it, especially within the Taekwondo community, of her doing her one-handed cartwheel into the splits.
Yeah.
And she went to a seminar not long after that win with someone who actually used to teach Caden and that went to the seminar and was like, reenact it for us, and did it in front of like the kids and that, and they loved it. You could hear them screaming in the background going, yeah. But no, I think especially with GB in the Paralympic side, we've done really, really well. And we had Caden as well winning silver in the Olympics and that. So hopefully 2028 we just get a few more wins under our belt for GB and for Greece as well. And hopefully someone who we know very well will end up in the 2028 Olympics.
I'll definitely
be the dream.
I'll definitely be at one Olympics.
Got to make it to one.
100%. I would like to be a multiple, but hopefully I can make it to one.
Hopefully you can make it to this one.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But other than that, tell us your quote. You had time to think now.
I did. To be fair, this is a quote that our club uses quite often, and it's one that resonates with me especially a lot. And I find that a lot of our members as well try to, which is today do what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others can't. Because otherwise if you decide not to do it, then neither of you can do it. Whilst if you do it today, tomorrow they won't be able to do what you can do today.
Yeah.
So I
very
like that
nice.
quote.
Very nice quote.
Quote.
Yeah. TTKD chose that quote well.
Yes.
But to finish off, the motivational quote of the podcast, of the day, of the week, in fact, is by a French writer called Antoine. I'm not going to say his whole name. He's a French writer. He's got a really complex name after that. That's all I can pronounce.
We love Antoine.
Yeah. But he wrote, "A goal without a plan is just a wish," which I think really sums up this whole podcast today.
And New Year's resolutions,
especially. Exactly.
Make those goals.
But
make them realistic.
But with those goals, you have to have a plan. Otherwise, it's a wish.
Yeah. I wish to be.
I wish to be skinny.
I wish to have my 8-pack. Well, if we get that KPMP census, then you will have that 8-pack. Exactly. So I think that will be our goal for next year, is for me to get an 8-pack.
Get a KPMP thing.
No, to get an 8-pack.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because it's totally going to be mine and not bright blue or bright red.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Well, other than that, thank you very much, Tula, for coming on.
Thank you.
And I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. We'll be seeing you next week on Tuesday. And I hope you all have a happy new year, as it is the 31st that this episode's coming out on. And yeah, I think we all look forward to the new year's, what's going to bring, and we're all going to tackle 2025 head first.
We have to.
Or foot first. We kick.
Yeah. Unless you want to be kicked, then head first.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment, see how you found it, and if you have any questions that you would like us to answer, maybe I can answer them next time. Or if, example, you're not on the next episode, then I can always quickly voice message you and go like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" And then you go, "Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's great."
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Bye.